Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the Light and Shadow podcast. Whether this is your first time here or you've been walking with me for a while now, I'm so deeply honored you're here. You weren't put to this space by accident. Something ancient in you, something ready for release, brought you here. I'm Gray, Reiki Master, Soul Alchemist, Seer, and your guide in this sacred space where we don't bypass the dark, we walk through it to remember the light. Today's episode is not just a lesson, it is a rite of passage. We're diving into the sacred, often uncomfortable, and profoundly liberating process of energetic death. This is about letting go of the versions of yourself that were born from survival, shame, fear, performance, people-pleasing, and pretending. The masks you wore to be loved, the roles you played to be accepted, the identities you clung to just to feel safe. What happens when those versions no longer fit? What happens when your soul is calling you to shed, but your ego is trying to hold on? That is a sacred death. And just like autumn leaves fall before winter's stillness, so must certain aspects of you fall away, so that something true can rise. In this episode, we'll explore why we fear endings, even when they liberate us, how to know when a part of you is dying, and how to honor it. The spiritual and emotional signs of ego death, how to release identity attachments that no longer serve your expansion, and how to navigate the void with grace, devotion, and deep trust. Because just like nature, we are meant to die and rise over and over again. You are not here to be who you've always been. You are here to become who you truly are. Before we begin, a gentle reminder, this podcast is a spiritual companion, not a replacement for therapy. You'll find all my offerings in the links below, from Reiki-infused ritual candles to one-on-one intuitive sessions, to our private Light and Shadow Sanctuary community, and the Grey Ethereus Academy for deeper soul mastery. You can also join me on TikTok at Grey Ethereus for daily insights and sacred reminders. Take a breath, let something soften, and let's begin. A sacred death is not always physical. In fact, most of the deaths we resist the most are energetic. It's the death of an identity, the ending of a story we've told ourselves, the collapse of a role we no longer need to play. It's when you realize the version of you who survived the pain, kept the peace, hustled for love, or hid behind perfection is no longer the one meant to lead your life forward. These old selves aren't wrong. They served you. They kept you safe. They got you here. But at some point, what protected you begins to imprison you. The mask gets too heavy. The performance becomes unbearable, and your soul whispers it's time. It may begin as restlessness, or deep exhaustion, or a series of shifts in your life where everything you thought you were begins to unravel. You may feel like you're falling apart, but what's really happening is a shedding. Like a snake releasing its old skin, or a phoenix turning to ash. This is a sacred death. It is not a failure. It is not a crisis. It is a soul initiation. And if you're here, if these words are landing, it's likely because some part of you is already in the fire of that transformation. You are standing in the in-between, the death of what was and the birth of what is yet to be. Letting go sounds beautiful in theory, but in truth, it often feels terrifying. Why? Because even the most painful identities are familiar. We fear letting go of who we've been because we've built safety in those roles. The overachiever, the fixer, the strong one, the invisible one, the good girl, the warrior, the one who never needs help. Even if those identities cost us our joy, they became our armor. And when we begin to shed them, a part of us panics. If I'm not this, then who am I? If I stop proving, performing, or pleasing, will I still be loved? If I stop holding everything together, will it all fall apart? Letting go doesn't just threaten your identity, it threatens your nervous system. Because the unknown feels unsafe when you have lived in survival. So instead of releasing, we often cling harder. We romanticize the past. We revisit old versions of ourselves, old habits, old relationships, not because they are right, but because they are known. This is why sacred death requires not just courage, but compassion. You cannot bully yourself into transformation. You cannot tend to the part of you that is sacred, the part that fears disappearing, the part that equates change with danger. And you must remind yourself, you are not dying. The mask is. Your soul is not being erased. It's being revealed. Not all endings come with clear exits. Sometimes they arrive as feeling lost. You may not know what's happening, but you feel it. That something is ending, that something in you is unraveling. And no matter how much you try to go back, the old ways no longer fit. Here are some signs you're in a sacred death portal. You feel emotionally raw or unusually sensitive. Little things pierce deeper. Old wounds resurface. It's as if your soul is shedding layers and everything touches the surface. You've outgrown your environment or relationships. What once felt aligned now feels heavy, false, or stagnant. You crave deeper meaning, truth, or freedom. You no longer resonate with your past goals. The dreams you used to chase now feel like they belong to someone else. You feel the urge to redefine what success, joy, or love mean to you now. Your body is asking for rest, solitude, or silence. You may feel exhausted, drained, unable to push through the way you used to. Your body is inviting you inward to listen. You feel like everything is falling apart. But deep down, something in you feels calm. Because at the center of destruction, there is truth. Even if the mind is panicked, the soul is breathing. Your intuition is louder. You receive nudges, synchronicities, signs. You know, without knowing, something sacred is unfolding. If you recognize yourself in any of this, know that you're not broken. You're becoming. You're not losing yourself. You're meeting the version of you that's been waiting underneath all along. This is the cocoon phase, the sacred in between, the place where your wings are forming even if you can't yet see them. Death, in the sacred sense, is not about erasure. It's about reverence. The old you, the one who survived, adapted, played small, held it all together, deserves to be honored. Not shamed, not rushed, not bypassed. To truly release who you've been, you must ritualize the letting go. To give it space, to witness it, to bury it with love. Here are some sacred ways to let go with grace. Create a funeral for the old you. Yes, a real one. Write a letter to the version of yourself you are releasing. Thank her for what she carried. Forgive her for what she did not know. Bless her for what she taught you. Then burn it, bury it, or place it on your altar as a symbol of reverence, not rejection. Name what is ending. Transformation cannot begin until we name what is dying. Now, is it a belief? A pattern? A version of love that was really control? A role you play to be accepted? Speak it aloud. Let your voice carry the truth. I release the version of me who thought she had to earn love by shrinking. I let go of the role of always being the strong one. I no longer carry what was never mine. You can anoint your body with love. Use ritual oils or take a sacred bath. Touch your skin with intention and say, I honor the version of me I have been, and I welcome the version I am becoming. Let your body feel safe in the letting go. Let your nervous system know it is safe to rest, to soften, to evolve. Work with fire. Fire is the element of alchemy. Light a candle with the intention of burning away the old. Place your hands over your heart and say, whatever is not aligned with my becoming, I now release with love. Let the flame hold space for your grief and your becoming. These are not performances, these are remembrances. They invite your body, your spirit, your ancestors, your higher self to gather and witness your transformation. Because when death is ritualized, it becomes sacred. And when it is sacred, it no longer feels like punishment. It becomes initiation. Now, after every death comes a silence. Not a void of despair, but a pause of possibility. This is the sacred space between stories. When you are no longer who you were, and not yet who you are becoming. And in that in-between, something powerful begins to stir. Clarity, desire, soul hunger, truth that no longer whispers, but roars. Here's what the rebirth can look like. 1. You begin to choose differently, not out of fear, not out of habit, but out of truth. You no longer abandon yourself to be chosen. You no longer chase what doesn't nourish you. You no longer silence your gifts to make others comfortable. You begin to walk as the version of you that once felt like a fantasy. 2. Your boundaries become sacred, not rigid. You don't push people away, but you protect your peace. You stop explaining your worth. You stop trying to prove your value. You realize your energy is a temple, and not everyone gets a key. 3. You return to your body. The numbness fades, the inner noise softens. You feel your breath again. You notice beauty again. You move with more presence, more purpose, more power. 4. You remember your magic. That sacred part of you that always knew. That part that waited patiently while you wore the masks. That part that now rises, not in rebellion, but in truth. You speak from your belly. You choose from your heart. You create from your soul. This is not a perfect version of you. This is a whole version of you. One who carries scars with reverence. One who no longer runs from the dark, but walks with it. This is your rebirth. It may not happen all at once, but it has already begun. This process, this sacred death, is not just spiritual, it is cellular. And sometimes what your soul understands, your body still needs help catching up to. That's why it's important not only to release mentally or emotionally, but to embody the release, to anchor the rebirth. I once worked with a woman who had spent years living in the identity of submission. She gave everything to her partner, her time, her energy, her softness, sacrificing herself again and again just to be chosen and loved. For years, she held on to the hope that love would be enough to make him value her, until the truth became undeniable. He didn't. He cheated. He let her go without ever truly seeing her. And in that breaking moment, something in her awakened. She saw, for the first time, her own worth, her light, her power. And as she let go of him, she met herself. Not the version that begged to be loved, but the version who already was love. That was her sacred death. And in that letting go, painfully, she rose. I need you to try the somatic ritual. Place your palm on your heart. Breathe slowly and gently. Feel the rise and fall of your chest as you say to yourself, I am safe to evolve. I am allowed to let go. My body remembers how to be free. If you feel called, light a Reiki-infused ritual candle from my collection. The Phoenix Flame candles are crafted specifically for this transition. Let the flame hold space for your grief, your release, and your becoming. Repeat these mantras in your rituals or write them in your journal. I am safe in the unknown. I release the mask. I reclaim my soul. I am not ending. I am becoming. These aren't just words, they are activations. Each time you speak them, you remind your body, your heart, your spirit, the old is allowed to fall away, and the new is allowed to live. Beautiful soul, you made it to the end of the sacred transmission. That alone is a kind of death, the death of avoidance, because you chose to listen, to feel, to stay present with the truth you can no longer outrun. The sacred death is not a curse. It is a rite of passage. It is the burning away of illusion so the soul can breathe again. And though it may feel lonely and painful, though parts of you may still grieve what you let go, know this. You are not losing yourself. You are meeting yourself. In this moment, I invite you to ask gently, what am I ready to lay to rest? What parts of me no longer feel like truth, but performance? And what soul, what life, what frequency am I ready to rise into? Because the truth is, you don't have to earn your next chapter. You only have to say yes to it. Light a candle. Write the goodbye letter. Burn the version of you that was built only to survive. And from the ashes, walk into your becoming. You are more than your past. You are more than the stories others wrote for you. You are more than the roles you were forced to play. You are a force of nature in sacred rebirth. If this episode stirred something within you, I invite you to share it, leave a review, or explore the links below to dive deeper with me through Reiki-infused candle rituals, one-on-one intuitive coaching, or our Light and Shadow Sanctuary, where we rise together week by week. And if you're ready for your next initiation, join me inside the Grey Aetherius Academy, our private mystery school where spiritual mastery, shadow alchemy, and energetic embodiment come alive. You can also find me on TikTok at Grey Aetherius for daily insights, reminders, and sacred transmissions for your healing journey. And next time on the Light and Shadow podcast, we explore something tender and foundational: soul contracts and karmic connections. Why certain people come into your life and why they leave. Explore how to recognize karmic ties, soul contracts, lessons, and how to break free when the lesson has been learned. So until we meet again, take a breath, let it settle, and remember, the magic is already within you. You are more powerful than you know. Until next time.